Nature. It provides the water we drink, the food we eat, the air we breathe. Life on Earth as we know it. Working to its own rhythms, the natural world supports our survival through productive soil, clean water, predictable weather, and harvests. Whether we are aware of the benefits of well-functioning ecosystems or simply take them for granted, we could not exist without them. Today, this life support system is under increasing pressure. Our 4.5 billion-year-old planet is struggling to meet the demands of its 7 billion human inhabitants. And every day, people and wildlife are paying the price. The math is cruel. Those who live closest to the greatest abundance of natural resources are often the most dependent upon use of those resources for their daily survival. In places where government is weak and laws are unclear or unenforced, natural resources upon which the poorest depend are being depleted by unsustainable use. Dependence on declining natural resources leads to a downward spiral of poverty and deprivation, exacerbating challenges to ensuring healthcare, education, clean water, fuel, and income for the world's most vulnerable. Understanding the complex relationships between nature, wealth, and power is critical to develop more effective approaches towards poverty alleviation and sustainable natural resource management. To transform the management of ecosystems and ensure sufficient flows of ecosystem services vital to the world's most vulnerable people, the United States Agency for International Development partnered with the Wildlife Conservation Society, Forest Trends, Enterprise Works VITA, the Land Tenure Center of the University of Wisconsin, and the Earth Institute of Columbia University to implement TransLinks. Led by the Wildlife Conservation Society, this 5-year partnership was tasked with identifying and increasing awareness of innovative field-tested methods that link natural resource conservation with rural wealth creation and strong, equitable governance systems. The efforts are local, but the benefits are global. A relatively new approach to poverty alleviation and sustainable management of natural resources is payment for ecosystem services. Also known as payment for environmental services, this multifaceted practice offers financial and social incentives to communities in exchange for sustainably managing their natural resources. Payments for these services, such as watershed management, biodiversity conservation, and carbon sequestration, can advance both environmental protection and rural poverty reduction. But for long-term success, clear and effective governance systems are essential to manage use of the resources, as well as equitably distribute benefits among community stakeholders. TransLinks identifies best practices that tangibly benefit nature, rural wealth, and local power, and shows how these successes can be replicated in rural communities around the globe. The northern plains of Cambodia hold some of the world's most iconic cultural treasures and some of the world's rarest biological riches. Large water birds, including the adjutant stork, black-necked stork, and the giant ibis, Cambodia's national bird, are found here. But across Cambodia, habitat and wildlife are under threat from logging and wholesale clearing of forests for farmland, pushing these rare birds to the brink of extinction. In 2001, giant ibis and white-shouldered ibis were found nesting near the village of Tamat Bui in remote Prey Vihir province. With only 200 giant ibis left in the world, this was a remarkable find. 3 years later, the Wildlife Conservation Society launched an ecotourism project for Cambodian and foreign visitors to catch a prized glimpse of these exceedingly rare birds.
The Buddhists, they would like to see more, not only the temple. They would like to see about the wildlife or birds and how many species that Cambodian has. Before I like more temple guiding, but when I know a little bit about a bird, 1 year, I just became crazy, like the Buddhists. The bird guide, we not only show the visitor about the bird, but we join with the community to conserve wildlife here.
Working with the Tamapui community and the Cambodian government, WCS drew up land use guidelines to form a community-protected area. In return for assistance with developing tourism, local villagers signed no hunting agreements. WCS helped the community secure funding for the construction of a guest house, which employs villagers as managers, cooks, guides, and other staff. With the Sam Viesna Center in Siem Reap, WCS trained local guides to identify many bird species and pays community members to patrol and protect nests from predators and hunters until chicks are fully grown. Tourists who see a giant or a white-shouldered ibis agree to donate $30 to a community development fund.
ខ្ញុំគិតមានចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍យ៉ាងខ្លាំងថាក្នុងប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រនៅភូមិនេះគឺយើងមិនដែលមានភ្ញៀវពីបណ្ដាប្រទេសចូលមកទេប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលគាត់ចូលមកដល់នៅតំបន់អេកូសត្វស្លាបនេះគឺយើងបានប្រាប់រៀបរាប់គាត់ជាច្រើនអំពីប្រភេទសត្វសំខាន់ៗណាដូចជាអលើកត្រយងហើយនិងសត្វដទៃទៀតដែលសំខាន់ដូចគ្នាបាទបើខ្ញុំគិតទៅវាអត់មានប៉ះពាល់គ្នាទៅវិញទៅមកទេពីព្រោះយើងបង្កើតអេកូទេសចរនេះយើងកាត់បន្ថយភាពព្រៃក្រោយពីប្រជាពលរដ្ឋយើងចែកតំបន់ឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋរស់ស៊ីយើងចែកតំបន់សត្វឲ្យរស់ស៊ីដូចគ្នា
The project successfully demonstrates to families and authorities in these remote places that there are benefits from species protection. Payment for ecosystem services can be made for a direct experience, such as seeing the giant ibis, or for an indirect benefit, such as cooler, cleaner air by reducing carbon dioxide emissions. Every year, more carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere from deforestation than all the world's vehicles, ships, and planes combined. The resulting climate change caused by this greenhouse gas can be disastrous, creating record floods and droughts, extinctions of plant and animal species, and displacement of entire human communities. Protecting biodiversity can ensure the survival of a single species or an entire ecosystem. Deep in the Brazilian Amazon, one pioneering tribe is looking to the international carbon trade to improve their future. When Brazil's 1,300-strong Suri people embarked on a 50-year sustainable development plan, they did so without opting for the quick cash logging brings. Instead, they are strengthening the protection of their entire 248,000 hectares of tropical forest to prevent the release of more than 7 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Led by Chief Almir Naryamoga Suri, the Suri are establishing a carbon fund to secure the economic future of the tribe, save their forest, and help the global community mitigate climate change. Forest trends and local partners help the Suri measure the carbon stored in their forests and establish a structure for how future income will be managed. In the first 3 years, the Carbon Fund will channel money towards forest protection and climate-resilient agroforestry. It will later be used to develop alternative livelihoods and tribal governance. Other Amazonian tribes are now looking to the Suri Forest Carbon Project as a model for how to save their own forests while earning income for future generations. From rural land use decisions to urban consumer purchases, we are all connected. These connections can have powerful effects on local communities, habitats, and wildlife. Nestled among the jagged peaks of the Himalayas, Nepal is a contrast in highs and lows, high population density and low economic opportunity for its 30 million people. Many communities rely solely upon the forest and forest resources for their livelihoods. Lack of forest protection and subsequent clearing has led to massive soil erosion and landslides, as well as significant habitat loss for threatened and endangered wildlife. In collaboration with Enterprise Works VITA and Asia Networks for Sustainable Agriculture and Bioresources, a community project is stopping deforestation and rehabilitating degraded land while providing a sustainable source of income to its members and protecting wildlife in the region. Himalayan Biotrade is a collective of community-based enterprises producing sustainable products from indigenous trees and plants for export. Himalayan Biotrade products include sustainably produced handmade paper, candles, and essential oils. Over the past 10 years, since Himalayan Biotrade was established, more than 30,000 hectares of degraded lands have been reforested. Community members report increased numbers of wildlife, and incomes have risen more than 300% in 3 years.
उद्योग स्थापना त भइसकेपछि कच्चा पदार्थ सङ्कलन गर्न त हामीलाई त्यति गाह्रो भएन किनभने यहीँका उपभोक्ता हाम्रै उपभोक्ताहरूले सङ्कलन गरेर ल्याइसकेपछि कति आउँछ र कसरी घाटा हुन्छ नाफा हुन्छ हामीलाई त्यति थाहा थिएन त्यतिखेर तेल राम्रै भयो त्यसपछि नै हाम्रो उपभोक्ताहरूले उत्पादन गरेर सङ्कलन गरेर ल्याएको कच्चा पदार्थको मूल्य चाहिँ
International companies purchase Himalayan Biotrade products for retail in their stores worldwide, with sales increasing to $73,000 last year. The VITA Corporation features the products in its annual holiday program, showcasing the efforts of this rural initiative to a global consumer audience in its retail stores and online. Himalayan Biotrade products have Forest Stewardship Council certification and are certified wildlife friendly. Certified wildlife friendly is a new label for products that conserve wildlife and their habitats while improving the livelihoods of the people who coexist with them. With help from Enterprise Works VITA and ANSAB, the project is a success for people, animals, and the environment. Wildlife-friendly products are field-tested, and their success has been replicated on every continent. This approach has even transformed a once food-insecure region in Africa into a supplier for other nations. In Zambia's lush Luanga Valley, the Wildlife Conservation Society started community markets for conservation, or Kamako. These rural-based markets provide new and better livelihood options to local families who support conservation. Sold under the It's Wild label, locally produced honey, rice, soy, and peanut butter promote environmental stewardship and sustainable incomes for more than 35,000 smallholder farmers living near Zambia's national parks and forests. Kamako also supplies its corn-soy blend to the World Food Programme to be distributed in various regions across Africa where food insecurity persists. In a remarkable turnaround, this area that was once heavily dependent on the World Food Programme is now a supplier, thanks to the efforts of Kamako. Kamako and certified wildlife-friendly products are proof that rural natural resource management can transform aid-dependent communities of the past into providers of the future. In addition to wildlife-friendly products, wildlife itself can be sustainably managed to produce economic benefit to the surrounding communities. Almost everywhere in the Maya Biosphere Reserve in the Petén province of northern Guatemala, there is evidence of ancient Maya society. Whether war, drought, overpopulation, or a combination of these factors led to the downfall of this once powerful empire, no one knows for certain. What is certain is that the modern-day population here has exploded. Since the reserve was created in 1990, numbers have grown from 10,000 to more than 60,000 inhabitants today. This six-fold increase in residents is placing tremendous pressure on the reserve through forest burning and over-harvesting of its plants and wildlife. Living amongst the people of the Petén is an unlikely candidate for a local hero: the ocellated turkey. In Washaktoon, one of the oldest human settlements in the reserve, an innovative sport hunting program, the Ocellated Turkey Project, or Proyecto Pavo, looks to transform this brightly colored game bird into the goose that lays golden eggs. There are only two species of turkey in the world: the North American wild turkey, which is divided into 5 distinct subspecies, and the ocellated turkey, found only in Central America. To successfully hunt all 6 varieties is considered a great accomplishment in the world of turkey hunting.
Muy bien. Muy bien, amigo. Muy bien.
I'm the first one to admit that there's some irony inherent to harvesting examples of a species to promote its conservation. But by generating an alternative to subsistence hunting, the Ocellated Turkey Project has been able to contribute to the conservation of the bird.
Before the project began, turkeys were hunted year-round without regard to gender or age. But the Ocellated Turkey Project demonstrated to local residents that a well-managed harvest is far more beneficial, not only for the birds, but for the people as well.
Proyecto Pavo me ha beneficiado a mí y a muchas personas de los compañeros que somos o que venimos de la comunidad. Es muy bueno porque en el estado financiero es un buen pago, una buena recompensa. En pocos días se hace un poquito de lana, más que en otros trabajos.
The sport hunt is held for 1 month, only after the breeding peak. During that time, foreigners are willing to spend from $2,000 to over $5,000 to hunt an ocellated turkey. Communities participating in the project receive over $1,000 of those dollars per bird, more than 100 times the local subsistence value of only $5 to $10. Resulting financial stability has led to investment in a brighter future.
El proyecto Pavo nos benefició porque había pocos recursos en la economía de los socios. Entonces él nos echó la mano. El proyecto Pavo nos ha beneficiado en construcción de escuelas y en medicamentos en el centro de salud.
The end result is a positive shift in attitudes towards both forest resources and ocellated turkey conservation.
It's the only camp I've ever been to where you see the payback to the community. I thought that was a great bonus to this particular hunt. So, yeah, good stuff.
Monitoring efforts supported by the Wildlife Conservation Society show that since the hunts began, turkey numbers have increased. Hunting a species to conserve it may seem unconventional, but it is a well-proven management approach used around the globe. In the decades since it began, Proyecto Pavo has helped protect wild turkeys and their forest habitat, generating close to $500,000 for two of the largest communities in the reserve. In other parts of the world, the challenge of managing wildlife resources begins after the firearms are laid down. After 25 years of civil war, Wildlife Conservation Society aerial surveys in South Sudan revealed that vast migrating herds of antelope, gazelle, and elephant, rivaling those of the Serengeti Plain, had survived. Today, as the world's newest nation emerges, WCS is working with government agencies and local communities to protect this valuable source of future tourism revenues, which, if properly managed, could last long after their new oil wells have run dry. South Sudan has committed itself to conserving its natural treasures: the largest African wetland, the most intact savanna in East Africa, and perhaps the greatest remaining unprotected wildlife migration, to ensure that they survive the peace as well as the war. Ongoing tensions between Sudan's myriad ethnic groups provide a challenge as well as an opportunity. Easing age-old conflicts between Sudan's pastoralists through conservation can create accountable, fair governance systems in this post-war society. As security improves, so will the opportunities to fund development through wildlife tourism. Payment for ecosystem service projects are complex and often take years of trial and error before success is realized. The pitfalls are many. Sharing lessons learned is essential to navigating potential roadblocks. TransLinks partners have learned that marketing multiple products to multiple consumers helps sustain benefits to rural communities in years when tourists and hunters are scarce or crops fail. In Guatemala, WCS has helped the community of Huashactún market sustainably harvested timber and shate, a small palm used by florists to sustain benefits as markets fluctuate. In Cambodia, the ecotourism project only provides jobs for a small percentage of Tomatbue's population, and the number of bird tourists is not large enough to scale up in the region. To increase opportunity and extend ecological benefits, WCS helped establish wildlife-friendly ibis rice. In exchange for access to larger markets and better prices, farmers agree not to use pesticides or expand their rice paddies. Linking livelihoods to wildlife and habitat conservation by bundling a diverse portfolio of activities serves as an insurance policy for greater sustainability. In every country on the planet, intelligence, ability, and aspiration are broadly distributed across society. However, organization, investment, and opportunity are not. The villagers of northern Cambodia, the Suri people of the Brazilian Amazon, forest communities in Nepal and Guatemala, farmers in Zambia, and pastoralists of South Sudan are all showing that by building on old and new community self-governance practices, they can establish rewards and incentives to protect the natural capital forming the basis of their wealth for sustainable futures. Thanks to generous funding from USAID, the Wildlife Conservation Society, Forest Trends, Enterprise Works VITA, and other partner organizations have demonstrated how we can reverse seemingly intractable problems, and shown that these successes can be replicated in rural communities around the world.
Porque sabemos que então nós não podemos discutir o futuro do mundo sozinho. E assim a gente quer manter a nossa contribuição a bem-estar do nosso planeta, a partir do nosso conhecimento, a partir da nossa sabedoria que usamos da floresta para oferecer isso.
If we are to reverse the current course of ecosystem destruction, we must restore the balance between our consumption of natural resources and the Earth's ability to renew them. Our future as a species demands it. Lessons learned from TransLinks provide a roadmap to show the way.